Hello, everyone. This is your host, Susan Rosen. And today I have really fun woman here to spend the podcasting hour with me. So this is great. And I forgot to ask you how you pronounced your name, but I'm going to take a stab at it.
Okay.
I assume it's Deanna.
Well, I'm from
Deanna?
Texas, Susan, so it's
Okay,
Deanna.
Deanna. Got it. Okay. There you go. Deanna. But how about the last name? Schober?
Schober. Yeah, you got that one.
Schober. Oh, I got that one right. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And Deanna is going to tell us about all of her exciting things that she's doing and programs that she has and how she got into all of this.
Yeah,
It should
so
be really interesting.
I'm so
welcome,
excited.
Deanna.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me. Let's see. I have a business. I have a podcast, and both of those things are co-owned and co-hosted with my husband, Tony Schober. And we help mostly women work on their relationship with food, body, exercise, and mind. We do that because we have found that diet culture and yo-yo dieting and societal standards around bodies has really terrorized people as they have tried to pursue their health and their health journey. So we wanted to, we had our own really difficult journeys, which I can talk about, but we had our own really difficult journeys in our own health experiences where we both struggled with eating disorders at the same time, which was really fun. It made for a really fun dinner conversations. But so we struggled with those at the same time. We were running a huge website that was for weight loss. At the time, my husband started a business or a website in 2011 called Coach Calorie. And it ranked like on the top page of Google, and we had sold out coaching programs. But we were really struggling behind the scenes, and we were struggling with clients. Our clients were doing great. They were losing weight, but then they were coming back over and over and over again to lose the weight again and again and again.
Yeah.
So we were figuring out at the same time that like the same things that were plaguing us were also plaguing our clients: inconsistency, yo-yo dieting, poor body image, emotional eating. We weren't fixing the problems. We were just putting band-aids on those problems.
Okay.
And, it was like you could stick a band-aid on it and they would go away, and then the problems would rise back up to the surface and they'd come back. Yeah. So we walked away from that company. We completely rebranded in around 2016, 2017, sometime around then. And then went in this direction where we decided we were going to help people reach what we call the new ideal body. So it's not societal's ideal body. It's not your goal body or your perfect body. It's just the body that you're in when you have a healthy relationship with food, a healthy relationship with your body, with exercise, and with your mind. And so that's what we do. We help women do that in our program and on our podcast, which is called Fitness and Sushi. Did I answer that right? did I get it all in there?
Oh, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So I have to ask, where did Fitness and Sushi come in?
I love that you asked that question because it's my favorite story. So one of the many disordered eating patterns that my husband and I both had was we would binge and then we would restrict. We would restrict, then we would binge. So one of the things we restricted was rice, sushi, carbs, all grains, all the stuff that we loved. And we restricted it just in order to lose weight. We had a very negative association with those things. And it would lead to us binging on those things. So we could restrict, and then we would binge. And so we just had a very disordered relationship with sushi, even though it was our favorite thing. It was something we bonded over when we first met. And so we, when we started to heal and started to repair our relationship with food, we started going back to sushi restaurants. And so that was what we would do every Wednesday. We would go My mother-in-law would come and watch our children, and we would go to the sushi restaurant and we would talk about healing, and we would talk about how we were going to rebrand and move our clients in this new direction where we weren't putting them through yo-yo dieting anymore. We were actually helping them heal and having them actually solve those problems.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened over, like, we came up with all of these concepts, everything over sushi. And my husband, I think that one of the things that people say when they hear our podcast is like, I feel like I'm sitting in the room with like two best friends. We just have really good chemistry. We have a great marriage, a really fun marriage. And he was, we would have these great conversations, and he was like, we should put a microphone up to these tables and we should have a podcast, and we should call it Fitness and Sushi.
There you go. Yeah.
And thus the name was born.
All right. No, that's great. That's great. And sushi really isn't that, I mean, it's not like it's that fattening or.
No, it's very good for you. It was just, I mean, fish is amazing for you. I know that like sometimes people have insulin issues and can't eat white rice. And that was like, we were back then doing that bro science. It was like, neither of us had any issues with insulin. We didn't have diabetes, and we weren't pre-diabetic, but it was just this gimmick that we had fallen for. No white rice, no grains. I was following, like a strict paleo diet back then. That was like my thing back then.
That'll do it.
So
yep.
No grains.
I remember the paleo diet.
Yeah. We were doing paleo and intermittent fasting. We were doing everything all at the same time. It was very, very much a disaster.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and your brain was how well was your brain doing?
Not well at all.
Yeah.
We were not thinking. We were exhausted. We were grumpy. And then we were binging on sushi and candy, for entire weekends. So it wasn't really working.
But you were doing it together.
But we were doing it together. We were a nightmare together. The good thing about that, I mean, the downfall of it was that we were doing it together. He was definitely influencing me. I was definitely influencing him. It was bad, it was bad. But when the flip side of that was that when we were healing together, and we were overcoming these things together, and we were in that. Something that we've learned is like getting out of diet culture and changing the way that you relate to food, and changing your value system when it comes to your body. Instead of valuing the way it looks, like valuing the way you feel. You have to be immersed in an environment where that's okay, and where that is applauded even. And so it really helped for us to have each other at that time, because no one else was doing this. Everyone else was still diet culture, and the traditional fitness industry is just so, we were part of it. I say that as having been a part of that culture. Yeah, it's very pervasive. So it was nice that we had each other to bounce those ideas off of.
Yeah, well, and it also, what comes to mind is that it also makes it a lot easier. They're not finger pointing at each other.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, you did this. Oh, no, you did that. Right.
Well, there was a little of that.
Well, but you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like only one person had a problem.
Right. And I think his was more serious. And well, I don't want to say that, but the severity of his was pretty intense, and compared to mine. I was just really good at restricting. I was really good at getting lean, and then I would lose control for like a weekend, where he would be able to restrict for a while, but then he would also binge for a long time. So his was classified as binge eating disorder, because he would actually lose a lot of weight, and he would get really lean, and then he would actually start binging, and it would get up to like 10,000 calories a day, and he was putting on 30 pounds in a month.
Oh my God.
And this happened, like, I was just telling you about our beautiful wedding in Sausalito. This happened leading up to our wedding. He had a binge episode leading up to our wedding, and he was that was how we spent the preparation time for our wedding, was dealing with that. So that wasn't very fun.
Ew, oops. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot of emotional fallout to deal with.
Yeah, I bet.
I happened to be, of course, because I was the bride, I had to be in the best shape of my life. Um, but we were both just really, really, it wasn't too long after that we just both were so tired of it and so tired of
That's what
the
happens.
roller
Yeah, you have to
coaster.
get to that point
Mm-hmm.
before you can say, okay, I'm done.
Right.
No more.
Yeah. That's when I talk to women who are coming in my program,
Uh-huh.
um, they're almost always the ones who decide to come in are almost always at their rock bottom. Nobody's just like casually like, oh, this sounds interesting. They're at rock bottom because diets have failed them so much and they are so
Right.
sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like there's nothing but up from here. It's like
Yeah.
it's so it rock bottom, at least it sucks, but it's the end, and you can
There's only
rebound
one
from
way.
there.
Yeah, there's only
Mm-hmm.
one way, and that's up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. I can totally understand that. Yeah. So what kind of programs do you have? Because it's not just one single,
It
right?
is.
Oh, it
We
is?
have one
Okay.
program, yeah.
Well, tell me
We
about your one program
specialize. Yeah.
then.
We specialize in we have one program that takes you through your relationship with food, your relationship with your
Okay.
body, with
Uh-huh.
exercise in your mind. We go through those four
Okay.
things.
I guess
So,
maybe that's what I was thinking of. It's not
yeah,
just one
right. Yeah.
lane.
It's four sections, and those things are all very interwoven and
Oh
overlap
yeah.
in a lot of ways, but each area has its own specific characteristics. Like if you have a poor relationship with food, you might be um eating perfect all day and then overeating at nighttime, or eating perfect all week and then overeating on the weekends or on vacation, or it's the roller
Mm-hmm.
coaster.
Mm-hmm.
You might be emotionally eating, you might be numbing out with food, you might be stress eating, those kinds of things. With your body, you're thinking about your body all the time. You're looking in the mirror, you're picking it apart.
Mm.
You feel like your value, the size of your body is very tied to your worth.
Uh-huh.
Um, you feel very insecure about your body dysmorphia, those kinds of things. With exercise feels like a chore. It's something that you're
Yeah.
either doing and dreading or you're avoiding. Because it's like a chore that you have to check off of a list. A lot of people have that relationship with exercise because of diet culture. It's made it like no excuses. You have to do it like this, or it doesn't count. And so that, and then your mind is all about your mindset. So all or nothing
Mm.
thinking tends to come from diet culture. Black and white thinking, rule following, and rather than like thinking in
Yeah.
nuance and kind of making up your own rules. So we go through each of those things, and we work intensely with our clients because it's not, it very much has. I always tell the people coming in, this is not like fitness coaching. It's more like life coaching, because it's a complete
Yeah.
transformation
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. It's
a
health.
complete
It's health
transformation.
coaching. It's health
Yeah.
coaching,
Well, and
which is a
it's
type of
mostly,
life. I mean, that health
yeah,
coaching is more of a life coaching kind of thing
yeah,
rather than, dieting or something like that. Just it's much more all encompassing.
it is. And it's a lot of psychology. And I'm actually in school for psychology right now, because I was so fascinated by how much psychology has to do
Ah,
with
uh-huh.
these particular behaviors, and how our brains primitive desire to keep us alive gets
Ah,
in the way of us really thriving. So
uh-huh.
our survival systems are triggered when we're on diets, like scarcity around food. When you take a food
Yes.
away, when you say you can't have sugar, the the brain's primitive response to that is, well, now I have to scan my environment because sugar is missing, and I have to
Yeah.
find it. And I'm going to obsess about it until I do find it. And then when I do find it, I'm going to eat it all because I don't know when it's coming again. That's
Yeah.
just the way that our brains work. And that
Yeah.
fascinates me. So I'm making it official and getting my master's degree in psychology and
That's
trying to,
great.
yeah,
That's
to make
great.
that a thing. So I'm
Yeah.
excited. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it's mostly mindset work, what we do. And we help our clients to formulate and create their own, like, what's your own personal idea? How healthy do you want to be? Not like, what do you think you should be doing, but what do you want? And then just kind of creating that from a place of abundance, not scarcity, and without triggering those psychological characteristics of survival that will come in, and to do that in a way that feels sustainable and that feels personalized, and not like you're having to follow a bunch of rules. And that's what dieting is. It's following rules, and that's not going to last the rest of your life. Nobody likes rules. We like to break the rules.
That's true. That's true. But that's why you need to have rules that are something people can live with, at least for a while, and then
what we have found is that they need to create their own rules.
Okay,
and I don't even call them
similar kind of
I don't even call them rules. I would call them like flexible guidelines. It's like, this is what I do most of the time, and that's how they can. And so even somebody with like a food intolerance, lifestyle. Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's somebody with a food intolerance obviously can't eat that food, or there's going to be consequences to that. But the difference between telling somebody you can never eat that food again for the rest of your life versus you can eat that food if you want to, but if you do, you're going to have like massive diarrhea for the rest of the day. And that's the consequence. I know that it seems silly, but these things, these shifts in mindset are huge. And because you're working with your own, you're working with the brain, the way that your brain works.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there is a difference because everybody I know who has allergies, for instance, cheats sometimes on some foods. Everybody's got those, right? And the thing that people with allergies learn is which ones they can handle cheating on, and which ones they can't.
Right. That's it. And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's I know just for myself, I'll eat bread. I'm allergic to wheat. And I'll eat regular bread occasionally. I don't do it every day. But, I can handle that. And I don't even I don't take an antihistamine or anything like that. I just, blow my nose a little more than normal. And, if I have hibiscus tea, I can't breathe.
You go into anaphylactic shock.
Well, I just literally,
your throat closes up and you can't breathe.
Yeah, my whole chest and everything. And it's the B1. That's it. I have found out that I can't do B1. Can't take them in. And vitamins, anything. Just keep it away from me. Right. And so that's why I'm saying there's like different degrees. But in the kind of thing that you're helping people with, there isn't as much of the degrees. It's a whole different.
Right. It's very black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that mindset of like, it's all or nothing. And anytime you're trying to do something in that all or nothing black and white mentality, you feel more rebellious because you feel oppressed by the rule or by the doctor or by the allergy, and you're not making a decision for yourself, like what you're talking about, where you're like, sometimes I eat bread because I don't eat it every day, but it's when I do, it's not thing I can't handle. It's worth it. Sometimes it's worth it. And that. So you have information and you're making an informed decision.
Right.
And so that's how you approach your health in a very nuanced, shades of gray way. Is I just know I have information. I know that, peanut butter has more calories per gram than, an apple does. It's not that peanut butter is good or bad. It just is more calorie dense than this. And so sometimes it's worth it and I eat the peanut butter, and sometimes it's not and I eat the apple. Sometimes I eat the apple and the peanut butter together.
There you go, together.
Yeah. That's not a coincidence that I picked those two things, because that is a good combination.
It is a good combination. Yeah.
But it's you have to start, instead of just following these rules of this is good and this is bad, you start to formulate some loose guidelines of what you need to do most of the time, and that will make you healthy. It can make you at your healthiest. You'll reach your healthiest weight for you and your body.
Yeah.
But if you are just like, I can't eat carbs and I have to be a size 3 and I have to weigh as much as I did in high school and I have to look like this, or I'm not worthy. There's so much pressure.
That's a whole different issue.
Yes, there's so much pressure that comes in with that mindset that just you can't function like that. You will go through the yo-yo diet cycle, and the yo-yo diet cycle is more, their studies are coming out, it's more linked to lifestyle diseases than just holding at a higher weight. It is more linked to diabetes and like high blood pressure and those kinds of things that we have always associated with obesity, when in reality what we're seeing is it's more associated with yo-yo dieting, because it's so unhealthy for our body to be going back and forth like that. So we're trying to get people out of that cycle and get them to a place where they stop yo-yo dieting and just can be healthy and take care of themselves, but not because it makes them more worthy or valuable or more attractive, or but it's just been hammered into our brains, especially as women, growing up with diet culture, and especially for, I think, my generation and older, really got the brunt of the diet culture stuff. Like it really got reinforced to us.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, because I know, just even for me, I mean, my God, when I was in high school, I think it was, I joined Weight Watchers. That was when they started. They had just started. And it was more food than I could eat.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to trust your body, at that point. You're supposed to trust Weight Watchers and what they're telling you. But that's funny, because now a lot of the I think probably 75% of my clients have been on Weight Watchers. That's the number one thing that they say to me. Like, Weight Watchers is the one that we've all done, right? And once they brought in like the point system and everything, they were starving. They were so hungry. And that's like what I hear all the time, is like, I was so hungry, but they don't realize they're hungry. They just think they're weak because they're eating enough food to turn off the hunger signals. But it's not enough that they stop thinking about food. And so they just eat just enough and then think about food all day, and they sit and, pray for it to go away and that their next weigh-in will be successful. But then, your body is in famine mode at that point. And it's, like I said, it's always trying to survive. So it's sending you these signals like, eat, it's making you think about food, having a lot of thoughts about food. You're craving, you're having a lot of cravings because that's what your body wants. And then they end up binging, and then they feel guilty and they go back to Weight Watchers. And that's why people have been on Weight Watchers for like 50 times in their lifetime. The same reason they kept coming back to me and my husband over and over and over again, because the dieting does not work. It just doesn't work. It doesn't fix the things that are really actually need attention.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Yeah, because it's not, with a lot of these diets, it's not even that they're eating, that they go and eat too many calories. It's just that they eat. There's that whole thing of just eating.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter what it is that they're eating, although sometimes it's sugar or something like that, right? But a lot of the time, it's just the whole thing of putting stuff in their mouth.
Yeah. It's a way to detach. Something that I'm learning in my psychology classes is that when you're eating emotionally or you're stress eating, it's a way of going into freeze mode. So when you go through the stress cycle, you go through either fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. I always get tongue tied at those. And emotionally eating is a way to freeze. You're disassociating from your feelings, from your stress, from your problems, from life, by eating. So it's, if I tell somebody, well, you need to go on a diet, that doesn't fix the fact that they don't know how to get themselves through the stress cycle.
Right.
That's not going to fix anything, or it's not going to fix their problems for sure. It's not going to fix the fact that they don't know how to process emotions, if that's the case. So it just makes it worse, because then they go on a diet and they go through that yo-yo cycle and they never end up solving the problem. And that's why they end up back again and again and again.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. And it would seem as well that, and I don't know if this is how you guys do it or whatever, but if you can get the person eating a healthy diet, and I don't mean that diet as in less calories, right? But
the food you eat,
food you eat, yeah. The weight will start to come off just by itself.
Yeah. And we always say, like, the more that you are trying to lose weight, the harder it is to do, because you're laser focused and you're making decisions based on that are not sustainable. So, we when we see our clients losing weight, it's because they've forgotten about losing weight and they're just focused on eating. We get them eating 3 core meals a day that satiate, satisfy, and nourish them. That's our 3 criteria for each meal. It's got to be satiating. It's got to make you full. It's got to be satisfying. You have to actually like it. And it's got to be nourishing. So it's got, it's a whole food. That's really all we care about. Like, it's a whole food. Most of the time, and not 100% of the time even, but most of the time. And that they feel so good when they do that. They don't feel deprived. So they're not going to the binge restrict cycle. And they feel more energy. They feel good. If emotional eating does come up, they have the tools. We teach them how to manage the stress cycle. We teach them how to become more in touch with their feelings and their emotions. We teach them these things, the typical reasons why we're turning to food. And that's why we say, like, losing weight will be a side effect of that. It's just the side effect of you learning how to process your feelings, emotions, feeding yourself, and like enjoying feeling good. Because I think that's addicting.
Yes. And just enjoying life.
Exactly. Yeah. Enjoying life. That's such a huge part of it. So many people are just they're shut down, and they're not living that full life and not experiencing. They're bogged down by stress, bogged down by careers. There's so many expectations, especially on women, that where they have every role, that's put on them, and they're just not functioning. And we kind of are trying to wake them up to put themselves first and to take care of themselves in that way, because it it affords you so much more energy. But it's hard because you have to demand things from the people around you. You have to demand your time. You have to demand help. You have to demand community. You have to demand that boundaries in a lot of cases with toxic people around you and toxic relationships at work. There's a lot to it.
Oh my God, and maybe even at home.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot to it. So that's why I think that some people probably just need to go and get an education around what is a healthy food and what isn't. But for 99% of people, it's just not that simple. They need all of that. It's a holistic approach. They need to have that awareness around their emotions. They need to have boundaries in their life. They need to prioritize themselves, to put themselves first. And like, this percent of it is eat some fruits and vegetables at your meals. It's really very, very simple. It's not a matter of if you're eating those things or not. It's a matter of why aren't you already doing it? Because most people know that they should be.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. And there's always the other way that people kind of sneak around things, which is like, oh well, I ate a lot of fruit.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I bet you did.
It's impossible to. I always tell people
as much as you should have, but
it's almost impossible to overeat fruit. It's when you overeat it, processed food, you can eat nonstop, and it does not work with the way that your body is made, so it doesn't turn off those hunger signals. You can't overeat a bag of apples. Like nobody's going to overeat a bag of apples because it turns off your hunger signals, at least not if you're paying attention. So, and it's not highly palatable the way that a lot of processed foods are and stuff. So it's, but yeah, it's all about, it's very hard to overeat whole foods is what we have discovered.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, see, because fruit's always been my downfall. I mean, I could
Oh,
just,
really?
oh my God, yeah.
I love
Yeah, you
fruit
should
too.
see the yogurt that my lunch, blueberries and raspberries and raisins and I'm trying to think what else I put in there that's fruit. Whatever else happens to be in season,
That's mine
banana.
too.
Yeah. And then throw in the almonds and the
That's my favorite. I love that. My yogurt has like my husband's like, you should have some yogurt with your strawberries. Like it's just it's giant. I love strawberries. I love blueberries. I love all those things. So, but they're very good for you. You're getting, we try to think about what you're getting from it rather than, like we think about addition, not subtraction. That keeps you in that abundant state of mind. And so I think it's great. It's very difficult to overeat fruits. It really is.
Well, I'm glad to know that because I always feel like that's what I'm doing. It's like, oh no, I shouldn't take another apple. Oh no, I shouldn't take another.
No, it's got so many nutrients. It's very good for you.
Yeah, I know. But anyways, we won't go down that lane. So, okay, why don't you tell people where they can find you, and we'll put all this stuff in the show notes besides.
Okay.
And and how it works. I mean, is it individual, like they sign up, or is it that a program starts in, I don't know, September, and you have to wait until then to get in? Is it a group? Is it one-on-one? Just or is it all of those things?
It's all of those things. The best way I think to get started with us is my husband wrote a book, and we hear from people all the time. It's pretty life-changing, and you can read that online for free at idealbodyformula.com. That's probably the best way to kind of just see what we're about, see if you would benefit from what we do. Like I said, there's a small percentage of people who can just eat that healthy food, and that's all they need is an education. We don't do education around healthy food. It's like very, very minimum. What we do is help the people who know what they should be doing, but just can't make themselves do it long term, or they going through that cycle. So idealbodyformula.com. Our podcast is Fitness and Sushi, another great way to kind of, if you're a podcast listener, to go see what we're about. And my program is called the Built Daily Mentorship. And it's a combination of one-on-one. You're working directly with me. We are meeting in a group twice a week because I believe in the power of both of those things, especially with women. And this program is for women, by the way. And then we have a program that they go through asynchronously on their own. I just was on another podcast. I just was reminding myself, stop saying asynchronous, because every time I talk to a teacher and they hear the word asynchronous, they're like, oh my God, flashbacks of the pandemic. So you're going through a program on your own in your own time. But in that program walks you through our formula and the steps to take in order to heal your relationship with food, body, exercise, and mind. I walk you through the creation process. It's going to look completely customized to you for your own lifestyle and what that looks like. But deprogramming diet culture comes first, and then the creation process is fairly straightforward. So that is, you can find out more info. Actually, just go to our book and read the book, and it'll send you there automatically. So idealbodyformula.com.
Okay. idealbodyformula.com.
Yeah.
Got it.
They'll eventually will invite you into the mentorship program. That's it.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, it sounds great. I think you definitely have the right way, the right approach
Thank you.
for people.
We see I would say 100%, but every so often, success rate, by the way.
Mhm.
Every so often somebody like disappears off the face of the earth. And I'm always so puzzled when someone does that. Like they sign up for this program and then they disappear. But I think that that's part of diet culture because they're afraid
Mhm.
of what they're going to have to
Yeah.
do, even though they may not have fully understood. So every
And
now and then,
embarrassed, probably
yeah,
embarrassed as well.
but but that happens so rarely because I if people stop showing up, then I chase them down. I'm like, where have you been? I don't let people get away from me that easily. So we see a massive success rate because this is the only way that works with your brain
Mm.
and with
Mhm.
the way that
Mhm.
our brains are meant to work. So it's a
Mhm.
great program. We're very proud of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. No, it sounds like it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would assume, wrongly or rightly, that even if men are interested, they can read the book as well. It's not
Yes.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's going to be applicable to them just as much. You
Yes.
know, maybe
Yeah.
your online program, you don't have that, that kind of
And
thing. But
I'll work with men. It's just that our group is women. And so our group part is
yeah,
women. I'll coach men if they've the
okay,
thing is like we find that the body image stuff that tends to come up. I mean, obviously my husband wrote the book. So he dealt with this. And so
yeah,
men definitely do deal with body image struggles and
right,
with diet culture.
yeah.
And I have a lot of my clients who are women who are sharing everything that they're learning with their
I
husbands,
was
and
just
their
gonna
husbands are
say,
changing. Yeah.
yeah,
So because of the group aspect, we keep the group for women. Maybe someday I'll start
okay,
a men's group. I don't know. But yeah, if you're a guy and you are struggling with this, I don't want you to struggle with I can talk to you as well, and definitely read the book.
yeah.
But obviously my husband wrote it, and so I'm sure there's other guys out there like him.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. And I think I think that if I could talk, I think that there are a lot more men having these kinds of problems,
Hmm.
especially the last couple of decades. You know,
Yeah, I think so.
it's
Obviously they are
it's
because
yeah. Well, it's come out. They've been able to come out in the open about
hmm
it. I
hmm
think before that it was
yeah.
like, oh no, only women have that kind of an issue.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
And it's definitely not. I think that for men there's a lot of the food stuff is very, very prominent, I think, more than
Yeah.
people realize. Um and food addiction and those kinds of things too.
Mm,
But yeah, Tony talking about his body image struggles, and he talks about it on the
yeah.
podcast. He's 100% healed at this point and doing great. But it was a big struggle for him, and he felt
Oh.
very alone. He felt very alone with that. So, I
Yeah.
mean, if you're a guy, it's
Yeah.
you're not alone, and you can read Tony's journey
Right.
with it and reach out to him.
Hmm.
He,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's
Yeah. No,
he's
absolutely.
one of the men that's affected for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, and if there's any women listening and their husbands are having, or sons or whoever are having
Hmm.
issues, send them to it as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It'll
Yeah.
help anybody who's struggling with those things. Yeah,
Well, that's good. That's
yeah.
good. Yeah. Okay. Well, we should probably wrap up. And thank you so much for being on. And I will say my usual at the end, which is that neither of us are doctors, and this is not to be seen as medical advice. Um, and with that, I will see everybody next week.